the night before the GCSE results come out. You know, when you took those exams in May and June, and it's like, oh, it's hard work, wasn't it? It was like, oh, another one. Oh, I've got 2 that day, and I've got another 2. Oh, it's half term. I get a break. Oh, but I've got maths the first day back. Do you remember that? Beginning of June, it seemed like such a long time ago, didn't it? And then here we are now. We're literally back to reality. You get your results, and then it's like you get to see people, which I always think is quite nice at this time of year. And then it's all about the next steps. What's happening for you now? What I want you to do is try and think about, who are you? What would you write down if you were to describe who you were to somebody who was either actually doing a course and you wanted to get on their course, or you wanted to apply for a job with somebody? How would you describe who you are? This links me back to a book. So there's a book called The Untethered Soul. Now, on Radio 2 last week, I think it might have been Friday, they were talking about a book that's changed your life. And I'm all for emailing into the radio shows. I regularly do. Natalie in Wrexham, she's always on, isn't she? And I got on the Tina Healy show last Friday. And on this book is one that really, really transformed my life. I'm not here to sell it, but one of the chapters was, who am I? Obviously that can refer to you, me, whoever it is we're talking about. So who is Natalie, for example? And I could say, well, I'm female. Yeah, okay, so that's the gender I was given at birth, based on, bodily bits. I'm Welsh. Yeah. It reminds me back to being in school. What's the word? I can't even think of the French words now. Between Bew and Wrexham, I can't remember the Welsh now. Je suis Nathalie Tarry. Je suis Nathalie Purdy. Je suis 11 ans. J'habite dans le nord-est du Pays de Galles. J'ai un frère qui s'appelle Daniel. And then you can go on and on and on and describe various bits of your life. But that doesn't tell who you are. It tells you where you live. It tells you how old you are. You could go on and say, well, I'm 5'4", I've got longish blonde, I've got sort of medium length, long blonde hair, highlighted, still got most of my natural colour at 52, nearly 52, which is pretty good, to be fair. This isn't my natural colour, although it was this colour when I was younger. But who is Natalie? Oh, she's a maths tutor. She's a mindset coach. She's very enthusiastic. No, all you're doing is describing how I come across and what I do. Oh yeah, she's got a maths A level and a degree. No, those are the things that tell me things I've studied at school. But who am I? I want you to think about who you are and think about, does having a certain grade on a piece of paper, which is the result of an exam or an assessment, whatever it is, coursework, what have you, that you sat at a certain time with a given set of resources that you had. You sat them. You were able to use information and apply it into a situation based on the education, the exposure to that information in that way. This is where I start talking about the whole thing about being able to do maths. Because how we learn, number one, is quite unique to us. Yes, there are some general ways that we learn in terms of, like, we can look at things and we learn by looking, we learn by hearing, sometimes we learn by actually experience, we actually physically hear. Holding things helps the information to sink in. But what if you're taught in school in a way that really just it's just not going in for you? Does that mean that you can't do that subject? Does that mean that when you get that grade for that GCSE, that you can't do it, you failed, and you're never going to be able to do it, and you're not going to get on that course, and you're not going to get that job, and your mum and dad are going to be fed up, and whatever. Stop. Take a deep breath and give yourself a big hug. Because do you know what? It's so easy. I know. It's so easy to take something small and make it into a lot bigger, and then we ruminate and it gets bigger, and before we know it, it's almost like the weight of this thing on a piece of paper becomes way bigger than it actually is. So grades on a piece of paper are not you. They are a reflection of what you did on those days based on the learning that you had the opportunity to have. Even if throughout the years at school you understood a particular topic, you felt that you were really good, because we do, don't we? We're like, oh, I love this subject, or I'm really good at this. I always get top marks in this subject. I'm just looking over there because I've got a lesson, but it's 20 minutes time. But then in the exam, it just went to pot, and you were like, it always happens in the exams. You think you know it, but then the exam comes along and then you're like, yeah? That's because you have not been able to, either number one, your brain was quite tired on that day, so you weren't able to think in the way that would have helped. It could just simply be that you needed it taught in a different way. And believe me, you will be one of thousands that is the case for. And that is exactly why I am here today doing the job I do to help the people like you. Okay?